I remember that. Anyway, from the top. Hey everyone, I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com. This is Boss Rush episode 4. With me is Matt.
That's me.
Yeah,
Welcome back again.
yeah. So, like, where have you been? Like, what have you been up to the last month or so? Because it's been a bit since we talked.
Yeah, honestly, I'd like to say a whole lot of interesting things, but not really. Just kind of house stuff and, keeping up with the outside work and actual working and commuting and all that kind of stuff. So I wish I was playing more games. I wish I was doing more of that, but kind of just boring life stuff.
Are you getting to enjoy the super hot Canadian weather?
Uh, Yeah, for some reason I've aligned working outside with what seems to be the hottest point of the summer, so might not have been the best idea, but yeah, you know what? We complain when it's cold, we complain when it's hot. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna take the hot over the cold every
Yeah,
day of the week. Maybe it's just because my ancestors are from the Philippines and I'm biologically built for the heat, but I'm
right.
gonna take hot over cold 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah. I don't mind the cold, but yeah, certainly I think I prefer the warmth,
Yeah, for sure.
especially for driving.
Oh man, definitely. I super random aside. Remember vividly a conversation, this extended conversation that one of my friends on Facebook had about winter tires or no winter tires. Do you have winter tires on your car?
I do, absolutely.
Okay. There was a weirdly heated debate about whether or not you should have winter tires on your car. And I'm of the pro winter tire camp all day every day.
Okay.
That said, I used to drive I think it was a 2004. No, it was a 2000. It was an early 2000s Nissan Sentra, and I did not buy winter tires for it, and it was fine.
Okay.
I now drive a Hyundai Elantra, one of the newer ones. It is horrible without winter tires. I was
Really?
just fishtailing like crazy, and I'm like, oh, this is why people buy winter tires. And so I bought a pair of winter tires, and I'm all pro winter tire ever since.
Yeah, I think, well, I live really far up north, so I think winter tires are kind of a must-have for me
Oh
because
yeah.
when it snows in Toronto, we get it 3 or 4 times, worse. So
Yeah, you guys are getting snow like I mean you're not even that far away. I could take like a short drive to your place and you guys are getting
right,
snow like a month and a half earlier than everybody else
that's
and
right.
then
Yeah,
it's still snowing a month and a half later than everybody
yeah,
else.
yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, there is that. I'm actually like so this is the first time that Steph and I have had a backyard because we moved into a house.
Right.
We live in a townhouse though with a condo corp, and we recently got a note on our door that says, "Hey, we're renovating the fences. It's going to take 6 to 7 weeks for like each house. But once we start working on your house in the middle of this month, you have no access to your backyard." And so we've
We're
had
in the middle of summer.
yeah, we're in the middle of the summer. We just got a new
Come on.
barbecue, and now we can't use any of it for the rest of the summer.
No, I'd be out there
Oh.
barbecuing. I don't care.
So now we have this weird dilemma of like, I mean, we can bring in the furniture, but
Yeah.
what do we do with the barbecue? Steph's not comfortable leaving it out in an exposed backyard. She thinks someone's just gonna wheel it away. So do we just like keep it at the front of the house? Do we have it just weirdly sitting in our living room for the next
Do you
month
have,
and a half? I
do
don't
you have a
know.
garage?
No,
No garage.
no.
Uh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
Completely related. We have a backyard as well, and when we first bought our barbecue, I had to go away. It was something happened, and both Liza and I were gone. So
hmm
I was at a bachelor party, I think, in Quebec, and Liza was somewhere, I think, at her parents' house or something. And she came home the next day, and she called me, and she said our barbecue was like lying on its side out by the house
Okay.
in the backyard. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, it looks like it fell over. I said, well, it can't fall over. I mean, like they're built to just stay there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened, if it was wind or maybe mischief, but yeah, we are someone, and that's before we had the fence. So I guess either something happened or someone pushed it over, or wind blew it or something. But nothing since we've gotten the fence. Nothing's happened. But yeah, interesting story. Just when you said about leaving your barbecue in the backyard unattended.
I was gonna say wind is. I mean, barbecues aren't going to fall over because of the wind, but then there was that crazy windstorm back in early May,
Yeah,
and like a bunch of trees in our complex almost fell over. Like our entire parking lot did not was like completely taped off because there was this like one massive tree that was like leaning like this, and it was like 3 feet away from a house, the house's roof.
Oh, geez.
And so, yeah, that was
Wow.
shut down for a while, and thankfully no damage was done to the house. But this tree was like almost completely fell over.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So outside of like crazy windstorms, I went to the Banksy exhibit in Toronto.
I heard about that. What did you think?
Oh, I would say I am a casual fan of Banksy. I had no idea who he was until the late 2000s when Steph introduced me to his stuff. But since then, I've seen a couple of his things, and I've seen like his actual work that he's left in Toronto, and I enjoy his stuff. What I found really curious was like when I went to the exhibit, and it's like, yeah, the art of Banksy, curated by blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what's going on here? And then throughout the entire exhibit is video snippets of the curator guy, and he talks about like this very specific period in Banksy's life from here to here, kind of like the most popular era of Banksy that we would know. I think pretty much from like the girl with the balloon up until like just before Dismaland.
Okay.
So there's a weird cutoff point, and I'm like, if Banksy was doing an exhibit, like, why would he pick these specific start and end dates to these?
Yeah.
And then there's a sign at the front that says, oh, these are like works from private collectors. And after, like, it was really cool to be in the presence of like actual Banksy work, but then Googling it after and seeing like, oh, Banksy had absolutely nothing to do with this exhibit, and this guy just collected all of these private works and made arrangements to bring all that stuff in, and Banksy's not getting any of the money from it. That seems, and is using his name to promote this exhibit. That seems kind of weird to me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Though I'm guessing that's probably a common thing in the art world. Like, there's also a Banksy exhibit happening in, I think, Moscow, with another person who's arranged it based on like private collectors' stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he should get a piece of that, but I guess it's kind of hard to enforce it, right? If it's all private collectors.
Yeah, like once you've sold that art, it's on them and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
In particular, I just find it kind of weird that like you can throw Banksy's name on all of these posters and stuff, and he can't do anything about it.
Well, I mean, it's his stuff. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, that's the only. Yeah, no, it's weird. It does. Yeah, it seems like they're taking advantage of him, but.
I have this one potential theory. I don't know the legalities of all of this, but is there a world where if he actually wanted to take someone to court, he would then have to file documents in the public record under his real name, and then we would actually know who he was?
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why all these people are getting away with it.
Oh man.
They're like, oh, we're going to use your name and make a whole bunch of money off you. Is that cool? He's like, well, I don't really like that. And then you say, well, then you can take us to court and use your real name. And he goes, it's okay. Go ahead.
That ruins the whole mystique.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Comment from Jenna, my cousin Jenna. Hey, she says maybe Banksy is low key in on it. Maybe he's getting someone like, taking something under the table, or I don't know. Yeah.
It could be all just part of his thing, right? Yeah. Who knows?
There were some interviews with the curator guy. He was a photographer for Banksy during a certain period of time, and then the end of the exhibit ends with him saying like, oh, we just had different ideas of where we wanted to go next, so we mutually separated and everything's still cool. But then in the interviews, when people asked him about this whole unauthorized exhibit thing, he got a little more cagey about it. I think the last answer I saw from him was, well, I would think that Banksy would want his work to be seen by the public instead of sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess if he is getting, I mean the whole getting money under the table thing, like why would he not want to disclose that he's getting money?
I don't know. It's weird. I think the whole anonymity thing has a big part to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah. I've actually Googled. There are some theories about who Banksy is, and some people think it's this one particular guy. I don't know if you want to ruin it for you. Banksy is like, at this point, the closest thing to an IRL Santa Claus that we have. I mean, wait, Santa's totally real, kids, if you're watching.
Yes. Yeah, if you're watching.
Santa
Jeez.
also IRL, just like
The Easter Bunny
yeah,
and
I'm completely lost for words.
yeah. Well, maybe we should move on from that part.
Yeah, all right. So I've been playing some video games. I don't know if you've heard of this hot new game called Mario Kart 8.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
you're doing it on the Labo. Nice.
yeah, so you can now play this thing on the Nintendo Labo. And when Nintendo announced it, I was like, hell yeah, I got to play this. And it's not necessarily the way that I would like to play Mario Kart, but I think there's definitely an audience, particularly kids, that want the more tactile feel of
Yeah.
playing Mario Kart with a steering wheel. Like, as dumb as I think the Wii Mario Kart steering wheel was, that thing was wildly successful.
Right.
And so, like, on one hand, like, yeah, giving kids or whoever wants to use the motion controls the option to do that, that's great. But I think the better thing about this whole thing is that it gives you more uses for your Nintendo Labo stuff if you happen to have that handy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, okay, so let me ask you this in terms of the controls with the
Okay.
Labo. So you come from a fighting game background, which is
Uh-huh.
extremely precision based.
Yep.
So do you find that it's the lack of precision from the motion controls that doesn't work for you? Do you know what I mean? Like you'd prefer a controller or a physical steering wheel?
Yes, I think there's just yeah the digital precision in this particular game, in my opinion, feels a lot better.
Okay.
There's actually an interesting quirk. Let me pull out my Labo. Oh man, my Labo board right here, since the power of video.
Right.
So in the Nintendo Labo motorcycle game, it actually reads your steering in two different ways. So there's handlebars, so it actually reads this, and it reads tilting like this. So you
Okay.
can actually like super fine tune how you're turning
Yeah.
based on those
So if
four.
almost like a real motorcycle, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Mario Kart, this does nothing. All you're doing
Okay.
is tilting like this. So it does. I. It does not feel as precise as the Labo racing.
So had you not played Labo Racing, do you think it would have been a better experience?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would say that the Mario Kart is certainly a better game than Mario or Labo Motorbike.
Yeah.
I think
A
Labo.
little more support behind it, I think.
Yeah, there's more
Yeah.
courses, more things to do. Like Labo's motorbike racing is the most generic racing game they could have possibly made, and there's very little to it. But it is
Yeah.
better than some of the other Labo games on there. I'm looking at the house one. Oh my goodness, that one's terrible. um, but yeah, as you can see, I just came in last place in that online race. Racing online with that thing was a terrible idea.
How many other people do you think were racing with Labo controllers?
None.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I'm very curious. I think that pairing mainline Nintendo games with Labo stuff is a really smart idea, especially since the Nintendo Switch is set up for traditional controls primarily. So if you
Mhm.
just want to do motion controls as an optional thing, you have the option to do that without compromising the core gameplay of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Is there? I know we've been burned by the Wii and Kinect era of the past, but is there any sort of Nintendo mainline / Labo collaborations like this you'd want to see?
Oh boy. See, man, I've been out of the Nintendo ecosystem for so long. Spoilers, I just joined again, but um, man, I don't know.
Maybe
What are you thinking about?
I just pulled that out of my you
Yeah.
know what. So does a would you want a cardboard Wii Sports 2? I don't know.
See, I'm of the same feeling that I don't. I think of it more of like the motion control specifically. Even the Labo, like I haven't used it. I know you've used it pretty. You've used it a lot, but I find it personally, it's kind of like a gimmick almost. I don't know if I would. It's not something that would sell a game for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if there's anything that I would, really want, especially if it was being sold on the premise of being, mainly used with this system or with the Labo.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think of anything. I mean, I could see the racing working. I don't know. Maybe if like a pilot wings or
Yeah,
something
that would work.
better. What else?
Yeah, it's tough. Like on one hand, I love the idea of Nintendo integrating Labo with their traditional games. On the other hand, I have no idea what that would actually be. I think
Yeah,
Labo works within the context of Labo specific software where like half the fun is building it, or most of the fun is actually just building the stuff
yeah,
and
yeah, for
then
sure.
having the opportunity to mess around with it in some sort of playground that really takes advantage of the particular thing that you built.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say like I would love a more expansive fishing game, but that doesn't really. I guess maybe if they had it hooked up to Breath of the Wild and you could then throw the fishing rod in, maybe that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it would. I guess my thing is just that like if you've got the option to use either the Labo or a standard controller, if you're playing single player, I mean, chances are you'll use the Labo until the novelty of it wears off, and then you'll just go back to the normal controller, right?
Yeah.
And if you've got friends over, it's cool. You can show them what it's like. But ultimately, if you're going to be playing, like for instance, Mario Kart,
Mm-hmm.
someone's got the controller, someone's got the Labo. The person with the Labo is probably not going to do as well as the person with the controller,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the big difference is like Labo's specifically targeted towards kids, and
Yeah,
that changes the context of this conversation a lot. I just think like if they made a Labo Nintendo variety kit that had specific things that worked for traditional Nintendo games as well as separate software, that
Yeah.
would probably be the silver bullet. I just don't know what those cardboard things are that kind of work in the middle.
Yeah, Labo Pokeballs.
Maybe they did make
Except
the
you wouldn't
Pokeball
want to throw your
controller.
controllers all around, but
They did make the Pokeball controller for Let's Go
Yeah.
Pikachu and Eevee.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is precedent for that.
Hmm.
All right, that's probably more than enough Mario Kart, but I'm not done talking about Mario stuff.
I was watching your runs there, and I was noticing that they were repeating, and then I was trying to catch where I knew what was going to happen. So
Yeah, let's talk about Mario Tennis Aces, which came out towards the end of the month. Do you have any experience with the Mario Tennis series?
yeah, with Mario Tennis, I do, not with this game.
Okay.
No.
So you have not missed much.
Okay.
Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64 is a fantastic game.
Yeah, I
Still
love it.
holds up today. But like every tennis game after that has been not as good. Well, it has been at least as good as Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64 with nicer graphics, but everything they've added on top of it is really dumb. So, for instance, in the GameCube version, they added these sort of like defensive and offensive power shots that are triggered just like based on time. So, like every 20, 30 seconds, you're going to get a power up to use. You'll activate the power up for one of those two shots.
Okay.
And then they added like really stupid courts, like, oh, we're gonna have this court with 5,000 enemies on the screen, or we're in Bowser's castle on a tilty platform, and it just
So non-tennis related stuff, basically,
like
making it completely difficult.
it is more like Mario Party with like
Yeah.
a tennis backdrop, and I hated that. Like I love Mario Tennis because I hate to say the word like realistic, but like there's something very real about
Yeah.
the competition in that game that I loved, and
Definitely.
the GameCube version wildly undermines what made that part great. And then the Wii U version, they added less dumb stuff, but it was still dumb stuff. Like you could get a power-up mushroom to make you really big, and all it really did was give you power shots every single time. And then there was like a super powerful jump shot, which was if you waited a really long, if you had like a lob and you had a ton of time to wait, your character would jump a little higher and hit the ball a little harder. Like those are all really dumb updates. And then on top of that, the Wii U version had basically no modes whatsoever. Like you could play an online singles match, I think. I don't even know if you could play doubles, and then single player was just like play against the computer until you lose. There wasn't even like a tournament mode to it. So awful.
Yeah, seriously.
With Mario Tennis Aces, I think they've made the first meaningful update to the tennis in like 10-15 years.
Okay. How so?
Okay, so like at its core, you're still getting like the same classic Mario Tennis physics. It still plays like that. But on top of that, you now have this super meter, which builds up as you play. You're rewarded for playing well. You get more meter. And some of the things you can get is like on defense, if the ball is too far away, you can actually slow down time. You get bullet time in this tennis game to get those tough shots.
That sounds pretty good.
You can use it for that. Or on offense, if there's a star on the ground, you can use it for a zone shot where the game actually goes in a first-person perspective. And at that point, you have like two options. One, you can try and hit it super far away from your opponent so they can't reach it, or they have to burn meter to try and hit it. Or you can try and hit it at your opponent. And what happens in that scenario is they have to make a choice. Do I let the ball go or do I block it? And the problem with trying to block it is that if you mistime the block, your racket actually takes damage.
Okay.
So you can actually break your racket, and if you break your racket twice, you lose the game automatically, regardless of what the score was. So and then like if you can also save up your meter for one like super powerful shot, and if they fail to block it or they don't block it properly, their racket breaks instantly.
Huh.
So
that's pretty cool.
It ends up becoming almost like a fighting game in the way that you're.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
You're generating resources and you're trying to manage, do I want to use this meter now to like block this shot, or do I want to save it for offense later? And it really comes down to, on top of like all the crazy mind games that come with tennis, all of this extra resource management stuff that I find really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems, I'm just watching it now on here, and it almost seems like you could have like a back and forth that lasts about 20 minutes because you can't, like, you can slow down time to get the ball, or you can do all these defensive or offensive moves, and it seems pretty even.
Potentially yes. I think like being able to shoot it, or like trying to outwit your opponent of like, oh, you thought I was gonna hit it to the side, and nope, I hit it right back at you when you ran away from the ball, or you used too much meter and now I'm gonna like smash it in your face. Like there's a lot of different ways of going about it that I find really cool.
Yeah, this looks really good.
At the core gameplay wise, fantastic. Best Mario Tennis game to date. The problem is largely everything else around it. You can play online tournaments, which is going to be the brunt of how you play the game. I think that's actually really cool, where you're playing in asynchronous tournaments and you're trying to get up to the championship. Really gives you kind of that tennis vibe of like playing in a tournament, and you can progress at any time because it's just pairing you up as you go with different people at the exact same stage.
Oh, that's good. So you don't have to sit there all afternoon and play one tournament.
Yeah. So that part's great. But then it has this story mode, which they were billing. They kind of hyped it up as sort of being like an RPG, sort of having a more elaborate story like the Game Boy game, which people really love. Like and it ends up being really disappointing. It's super short. At times it's really hard, and there's no real reason to play it again once you finished it, and you can finish it in like 3 hours.
So when you say RPG, what do you mean? Like, how is this possibly an RPG?
So
is it building your character's stats?
Yes.
In that? Oh, okay.
So the Mario characters have all gone to this tennis island resort, and Luigi touches basically the infinity gauntlet of tennis rackets, and a whole bunch of people disappear. Spoilers. Oh man, I should have dropped the spoiler tag.
Oh man.
And so Mario has to go out and save him. So you're actually like venturing off on this world map where there's different levels and different challenges. There's actually boss fights in the game, which are the best part of the single player, because they use the tennis mechanics in really interesting ways of like hitting your opponent in very specific spots and like smashing it in like a specific target. But then like the actual RPG part is, as Mario's going, like after each match, you're gaining XP, and as you level up, your stats are getting better, but you actually have no control of where those stats go. Like it'll just randomly say like, you hit the next level, we're gonna up your speed a little bit. And then I never actually noticed how those stats improved Mario throughout the game. So I don't actually know if it did anything meaningful.
Yeah. Well, again, though, the thing is, when you have all these special talents of being able to slow down time and do all this stuff, it's like, what does like an extra speed point do,
Yeah.
right?
So, like, I'm very conflicted with Mario Tennis because, like, the core gameplay is so good, but then it's so limited in its feature set that it's
Mhm.
really hard to recommend.
Have
Unless
they said they're going to be doing anything with it in terms of features
they're
or adding
adding
things?
at least 3 more characters through free DLC,
But
but
does that
nothing.
matter?
Not really. I think it like they're already stretching thin with the roster they have now, because like
Is Waluigi in it?
of course he's in it.
Okay.
Waluigi's amazing in the game, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Bowser Jr. OP.
Oh, yeah.
But they've also added guys like Spike. He's the little guy that like spits the metal ball.
Yeah.
They have Chain Chomp is in the game, and he's got the tennis racket in his mouth. It looks really dumb, but it's kind of awesome. But like
Makes
at
sense. Put the
at
guy
that,
with no arms in the game. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, like you're really stretching it out.
Yeah.
So I don't know who else. They've just put in Koopa Troopa. Like, okay,
So wait,
sure.
so do you know who the DLC editions are?
No.
Oh, we don't know yet.
No.
Now I'm interested. I mean, if they've already got the chain chomp in there.
Yeah, like what other
Drawn
dumb
from a
thing
pretty
would they
shallow
put in
well.
there? Yeah, I don't like. I'm gonna guess like Kamek maybe.
No.
Sure, get the wizard guy in there. Otherwise, like I don't know, maybe one more Koopa Kid and.
Do they have the? Oh no, I was gonna say the Lakitu or whatever it is, the guy in the cloud, but he's the
Oh
referee.
no, he's busy refereeing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Birdo would be one of the characters. Maybe
Oh,
they add
Birdo.
later.
Yeah. Then he shoot eggs at you or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Then his special move could just be that eagle mouth thing would open up behind him and
Oh.
just swallow you or something.
Yeah. Man, Super Mario 2, so good.
Yeah, that's actually funny that you said Super Mario 2 because Princess Peach's legs are throwing me off. I'm so
Oh.
used to seeing the long dress.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
For some reason, I think of Super Mario Brothers 2 Princess Peach as my definitive Princess Peach for some reason, even though Mario 2 is probably the least definitive game in the Mario series. But
I would argue that Princess Peach in Mario 2 is the most definitive Princess Peach.
you think so?
Yeah. That was the first
Mhm.
one. You could play as her, and she has the ability to float, making her the best character in that game.
That's true. She was definitely the best character in the game, but her floating ability, I don't think ever came into any other game, did
It
it?
did, actually.
Which one?
Super Mario 3D World has it, where she is also the best character in the game.
Because she can float.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right. Couple other games I've been playing. It's been a lot of Nintendo Switch stuff.
That's cool,
Another
man.
game I've been playing is Pocket Rumble. This came out last week on the... It's exclusive to the Switch, but you can also play it on Steam, where it's been on early access for a while. This one had a really weird story. This game was supposed to come out at launch for the Switch, and then it got delayed by a year and a half.
Wow.
They said they ran into some technical issues, particularly with Nintendo's online, and I don't blame them, because Nintendo still sucks at online, and hopefully that gets better with the online service. I don't know.
What do you mean? You can chat on one game right now?
One
Right?
game. Oh yeah, one game without using the phone app. So if with
Yeah.
the phone app, it's 2 games.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
See, they're making progress. This doesn't seem like it should have taken a year.
So no, like I don't know. They've said it's the online stuff that
Mhm.
hung them up, and then they fixed some other stuff. But anyway, this is a 2D fighting game in the style of the Neo Geo Pocket. So I've actually held that system a total of 1 time. I was at a toy fair last winter, and someone was selling a Neo Geo Pocket with a bunch of games. And I didn't want all the games, but the guy was like, I gotta sell it as a whole set because, like, if you buy the system, no one's gonna buy these games from me.
Yeah, you'll be the only guy with a Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah,
So who am I going to sell the games to?
exactly. So I didn't get a Neo Geo Pocket at that time. But the interesting gimmick about this game, besides the look of it, is the controls, where you only play it with 2 buttons, And all the special moves are done with simple commands. So you're either holding down forward or down back and then pressing one button, and that is it.
Okay.
So you want to throw a fireball, down forward A.
So how do you feel about that?
It
I feel like, I don't know.
it works surprisingly well here. I think I do have some quirks with the diagonals, particularly on the Switch itself. Like if I'm playing it in portable mode, this thing doesn't have a proper D-pad, so hitting those diagonals consistently can be problematic. But when playing on a Pro controller, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Works really well. And what I love about this game in particular is that the character designs are amazing. They've put in so much work to give characters unique abilities, unique moves, and every character plays wildly differently. And they have a lot of really advanced stuff. If you are like a hardcore fighting game guy, like this guy here, so he's got like this purple ball that he can leave on the field at any time. He can also slap it to move it back. And the thing is, he can trigger a second ball and it'll electrocute anything in the middle. But then he can also send a ball up in the air, and he can send one or two balls up in the air so that he can electrocute up in the sky, or he can do it at a diagonal to create like this crazy electrical thing. So there's and like that's just one of every character in the game has crazy stuff like that.
That's cool.
And so you've got this game that's like a super hardcore fighting game with a simplified control set, and on that level, it's awesome. The problem is it's a super hardcore fighting game, and it really isn't casual or like it's not friendly in the sense that the arcade mode has no difficulty settings in it, and its default is set way too high.
Oh,
and
okay.
The first time I played it, I just got destroyed. And even now, like now that I've gotten a feel for the game, I'm still struggling to beat the arcade mode, and I would imagine that for most people, like, it's impenetrable.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at this thinking, oh, maybe I'll give it a shot. But you're a fighting game guy, and you're getting stomped, so I'm just going to probably not do that.
And then on top of that, the matchmaking right now is really wonky. So this video right now, I'm playing against the number 51 ranked player in the world, and this is like my fourth match.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if that's a function of the player base being really small or some quirks with the matchmaking. So really, this game's a really weird mix of this accessible fighting game that is largely inaccessible due to reasons beyond the core gameplay itself.
Yeah.
And so it exists on this really weird spot. I think I'm going to be playing more of it because I really enjoy the gameplay and can I'm willing to take on these hurdles, but I think for the people that it actually wants to reach the most, it's going to fail because the computer's too hard and the online matchmaking is too inconsistent.
Yeah. So you'll play a normal match and get beat, and then say, I'll try online, and then get really beat. And then...
yeah, it's just endless beatdown unless you know what you're doing.
It looks really cool.
It is. And I really hope...
the art style.
And what's it called? The developer said that there is a major update coming with more characters and hopefully difficulty settings for the arcade mode. Like, if they could just get that in the game, it would be so much easier to recommend. But right now, like, it's tough.
So which guy are you playing here?
I am the guy with the red gloves.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the one doing not nearly as cool stuff. Yep.
Right on.
All right, I'm going to talk about one more game, and then we will jump to your stuff, because I've been talking way too much.
Oh, it's all good, man.
Have you played Luminous before?
Yeah, years ago.
Okay, what did you think of it?
These types of games, not really my type of game.
Okay.
So...
I love puzzle games, but I'd never played Luminous before because it was on the PSP during a time when I was admittedly very anti-Sony. My Nintendo fanboy was so strong that I actively avoided anything Sony related for as long as I could. I actually owned a PSP. My mom got it for free at her work Christmas party, and I ended up selling it instead partially because I didn't want to associate with the brand at the time, but also because Rock Band was coming out soon, and I used the money towards that instead. Got the full band kit, and that was amazing.
See, hindsight though, now they're great emulation machines.
Yeah, they
So
hacked that thing to oblivion.
I know.
And so Lumines recently came out on the Switch, and I love puzzle games. I'm like, all right, let's try this one out. And I think it is an uneven game, but the core of it is so good. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like it's this game, it's sort of Tetris like where you're dropping these squares down a cube and you're trying to create like colored squares with the blocks. But like on top of like the flashy presentation and these cool backgrounds, it's also got like this amazing EDM soundtrack playing throughout. So you just get into this like trance like state playing the game.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to just get sucked in for like an hour at a time playing this game nonstop. My problem with it is that like it's not like Tetris where you could just pick a song. You have to unlock them, and in order to unlock them, you have to play through the challenge mode, which is 100 levels deep. And I've gotten to level 46 max, and it's kind of rough. Like, yes, unlocking music's like really cool, like it's a very strong motivator to keep playing the game, but if I suck at the game, I'm just not gonna see most of the content.
Basically.
Yeah. Like I even if they had it just like in this one mode where I could just pick all the music for fun, but if I want to unlock it for realsies or whatever, like gate it that way. But I feel like there's probably a bunch of people who will just not experience most of the content in the game just because of the way it's structured.
Yeah. No, that does suck. That's weird.
Yeah. So I was actually talking to my brother about it because I got stuck at like level 25 and I'm like, is it realistic to get to level 100? And he was like, yeah, you just need to kind of manage your blocks a little better. And I was like, oh damn, shots fired. So now I it's a point of pride that I need to get better at this game, just so.
You have to be what's that thing? Good.
Yeah.
Be good
He basically told me. Basically told me to get good.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And so like, I think the other part that I find uneven is I don't like the secondary modes. So there's a score attack or time attack mode, just like get as many points as you can in X number of seconds. Like that's whatever it is. There's a mode where you're trying to build specific shapes based on the blocks. So like the very first one is to create a cross with the blocks. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Then there's a puzzle mode of like, here's the scenario, clear all these blocks out with one drop. And like, that's fine, but that's not necessarily what I like in puzzle games.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has a really bad versus mode where the timeline is split in half. So I get this side, you get this side.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone is doing better, it actually like expands the winning players column and shrinks the losing players column. And I find that doing that puts the losing player in such a bad position that basically the first person to score like a move is going to win the game.
Yeah.
So like really you're playing it for one mode, but man, that one mode is so good.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, not my type of game, but I can definitely see the allure.
Yeah.
I'm almost in a trance just watching this without the music.
Oh man, with the music it's so good.
Yeah.
I think in particular that first level with the Shining song, like you have to play it with the music. Like if I could send you the song, but it's not going to be the same.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it.
Maybe at some point. Like I think if Lumines goes on sale on the eShop, I would recommend it at its. I mean, like right now it's still under $20, but if you're not really a puzzle guy, yeah, hold off on that for now. Okay, I'm getting tired talking. It's all you right now, man. What have you been playing?
Oh man. Okay, so I got a review copy of I don't even know why, Tour de France 2018.
Okay.
Oh, there it is in all its glory. Yeah. So we were talking earlier before the show, and you were saying that it actually looked interesting. Yeah, kind of. It did it to me at the beginning as well. These kind of things looked interesting to me, where you had all these players on the screen, and you could do all this. Well, I mean, I thought you could, do all the stuff that I thought you could do, but you can't. So my initial thought was, okay, this is going to be a cool, like, little racing game, kind of like Cars, but with a bike. And, you just kind of do your thing. You see some pretty cool countrysides and sort of, race and whatever. So that is kind of what it is. The only issue that I found with this game was that you literally can't do anything but that. So, like, you can't crash into people, you can't crash into anything else, you can't fall off your bike, you can't hit a barrier, you can't hit a car, you can't do anything. So when you start off, you just bounce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you'll probably see something when these guys get a little bit closer together. So there, you'll see him like cut in.
Yeah.
And he just kind of bounces off. And I'm thinking, well, that's not very good, because you can just kind of, at the beginning, you just kind of mash the button and just like plow through a whole bunch of people, which is completely unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And then basically it's just like a resource management sim. So you've got like you have to manage your speed and your stamina and all that kind of stuff, and sort of use it at the right time. And that is just not the game for me.
Huh. I don't like. Thinking about this sort of like, how long does a race last in this game?
So that's another thing. The longest one I think is 45 minutes.
Whew.
So so you can fast forward a little bit through it. So you can actually, well, you could fast forward the whole thing really, but then what's the point of playing? But you can sort of pick a start point and then an end point and sort of fast forward through those points to that last point.
Okay.
But again, you're just kind of fast forwarding the game. So what's the point? But yeah, 45 minutes I think is the longest race. And so it's literally just 45 minutes of you sitting there, mashing the button, trying to get ahead of people, bouncing off things. Yeah.
Yeah, on one hand, like, yes, in absolute terms, that is a really long time to play one race. On the other hand, it's the Tour de France, and those races also tend to last a long time, so, like,
oh, yeah.
I get that. And the whole management of resources stuff, like, I would think that if you were sitting there just, like, holding, quote-unquote, the gas and steering left and right, that would be really boring within the context of this style of game.
That's true. Yeah.
So
I would agree with you.
I think the idea of it being more of a management sim of like triggering when you go fast, when you go slow, that sounds interesting to me. But I don't know, if the implementation of those mechanics isn't that great, then like I can see how you wouldn't enjoy it. Or also like, sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Or just like that is not going to appeal to everyone. That's particular style of game.
I think what got me though was not so much the resource management part of it, but just the fact that it's unrealistic in that you can't so if you were in the real Tour de France, you'd have to kind of watch where you're going.
Okay.
Right. But this one, you literally don't even have to watch where you're going. You just bounce off whatever you hit and just keep going. Right. And I mean, I guess if you're really in the Tour de France, it is a resource management sim. You're always trying to keep your energy up and whatnot. And you can eat energy bars and drink energy drinks and do all these things in the game to sort of, keep you going or whatever. But I guess it's kind of just that I don't really know what I expected, because I mean, it's exactly what it is, right? It's a simulation of the Tour de France. But I don't know. Maybe if it was just a bit more realistic, I think I would have got into it a bit more.
Okay. I mean, I'm not trying to be a Tour de France apologist. I've never played this game. But it does pose an interesting design challenge, the whole, like, bouncing off stuff. I think, in particular, the idea that there's, like, dozens of racers at the very beginning of the game. Like, understanding, like, generally how video game racing goes, people are bumping into each other all the time. And so, if you were to make this realistic within the context of this game world, I think people would just like be falling over each other nonstop. I
can see that. Yeah,
I can understand why they made the choice that they did, though. Yes, it does have the ramifications of it also taking the immersion out of it in other ways.
Yeah, not a bad game, just not really the game for me.
Yeah, fair enough. And so when you say there are power-ups in the game, like, exactly what are we talking about here?
Oh, it's just, I mean, it's sort of like stamina refreshers. So like energy drinks and power bars and things like that.
Is there any sort of leveling up that can be done in between races?
So there's a bit of customization as well. So so there's all kinds of, names in here. And I would assume that if I followed the Tour de France I might recognize some of these people, but
Okay.
I don't, unfortunately. Same thing with brands. You can, dress your guy however you want. You can pick all these different jerseys and you can unlock them and stuff like that. You can, change your colors and whatnot. So I mean, there is a certain level of customization, but yeah, like I said, if I followed it a bit more, it might have had more of an allure to me.
Hmm.
But I didn't really recognize any of the brands. I didn't recognize any of the people. Uh, the more I think of it, maybe I wasn't the right guy to review this game. But yeah,
What I really want to know is there doping in this game?
no, not that I know of.
Is it like
Although I don't know what's in the power bars.
yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. And also, is it like the wrestling games where they don't have Hulk Hogan in it, but they give you all the moves and all the clothing so that you can make Lance Armstrong in it?
Uh, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Just
You
the
could.
DLC is like the yellow rubber wristbands
It's right. Yeah.
that say
Live
"Strong
strong,
Live" or something.
Life strong.
Life Strong.
Yeah. 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 So
Yeah.
anyway, that's Tour de France.
Yeah, I don't know. I know at the beginning of the show I told you to try and talk me out of this. I still kind of love the idea of
Hey man,
a
try it.
hardcore sim. Is it
Yeah.
on a console or is this PC only?
Oh, this is PS4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How much are we talking here?
Oh, I don't even know. I think it's a full price game.
Oof.
I think as of this writing, it was a full price game.
Okay.
You know what? I don't want to say that because I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I think it's full price
Okay.
or somewhere up there. Yeah.
So you reviewed this as like you got this from Biff Fan Pop?
Yeah.
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 What is this the weirdest game you've gotten for review?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
In terms of just games that I never thought I would be reviewing, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to the price thing, I'm looking at the PlayStation Store right now. The game is $66.99.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost full price.
Yeah.
That's probably way too much more than I would want to spend, but yeah, I would investigate further.
I think
But-
if it was like $29 or something in that range, I don't know.
Yeah. Or even like if you strip it back even more and make it like strictly a sim where like I'm not even driving per se. I'm just like I'm thinking like I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Quest lately,
Yeah.
which is basically Pokemon management sim where
Okay.
you can autoplay it where you're not even controlling the Pokemon at all. But when you
Okay.
do control the Pokemon, you don't control where they walk, you just control when they trigger their special attacks.
Okay.
And there's other management stuff you can do in the background that I find really interesting. But like when the actual race is on, or when the actual fighting is happening, I just kind of like let it run, and that's good enough for me. I wonder if there's like the appeal of making this more of that kind of sim. Like,
Well, there's actually a companion app which I didn't actually get into, but it's exactly that. It's the Tour de France manager version. I don't actually know what the name of it is, but it's like the racing manager. So it's this, but it's like playing Madden or something when playing the
Yeah.
GM mode.
GM mode,
Yeah.
exactly. I
Yeah.
love the idea of Tour de France GM mode as a game.
Hey, then try the other one.
Okay.
Who knows?
But yeah, talking about Tour de France and Biff Van Pop and like this being the weirdest game you reviewed. When I was working for Splitkick, I don't know if a lot of people have worked for a publication where you've had to review games, but like I think when I got into like writing for video games, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to like play all the games that I really love and write about them. But when you're working for someone else and they give you the games, you don't necessarily get, I mean, I'm not going to say necessarily get the best stuff, but you will get stuff that you did not expect you'd play in your lifetime.
That's true. And you know what? That's good and bad because it kind of, sometimes you get something where you go, this, I don't even know what this is, but then like it, and it's something you'd never have even thought of buying or thought of trying before, and you end up liking it. Sometimes it's, Tour de France.
I remember when I first started working with Splitkick, and they sent me this game called Bloodforge, which is essentially like God of War, except in like Irish folklore. I think Irish or Scottish, one of those two. And it was just like this horrible ripoff of God of War. And I was like, I played it for 5 minutes, and I was like, I don't want to play this anymore, but I'm on the hook to review this, so I have to beat this. And it really puts gaming in a different perspective when it's your job and you have to play stuff you don't want to play.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it becomes a lot less glamorous when you're not playing the games you want to play. What else have you been playing, man?
Let's see. So all I can think of is Switch stuff right now. It's literally just like swimming around in my head.
Okay.
I played a bit of Moonlighter.
All right.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Oh, there you go. So I'm not terribly far into it yet, but it's cool. It's actually a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be, because it incorporates a lot more things than I thought it would incorporate. So it's got this kind of Legend of Zelda, like Link to the Past kind of Binding of Isaac feel to it. So you're going into dungeons. It's also a roguelike, so you're going into dungeons, randomly, generated dungeons, getting loot, coming back out, selling the loot, essentially.
Okay.
Upgrading your stuff to go back into the dungeons, and basically get more loot and get better, and then advance through the dungeons and make it to the bosses, so on and so forth. So that sounded cool, and I kind of expected, just kind of a normal thing like that. But it's almost like every part of it is its own mini game. So you've got the dungeon aspect, which is awesome. You go into the dungeons, it's really like the controls are really good, everything feels great. You loot things, you come back out. You actually have to take your stuff into a store. You put it on tables. People come in and they browse your stuff. You have to set the prices for the things that you take out of the dungeon, and then you get like real time feedback as to, like, oh, that's way too much. I would never pay that much for that. Then you have to adjust the price so that people start buying more of your stuff. Like it's really cool.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like preparing for the show, I was grabbing this B-roll. I'm like, oh, it's Zelda, but on your day job, you also have to work a day job at retail.
Yeah, basically.
And that actually sounds kind of awesome.
It's way cooler than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure. And the thing is too, like when you start it, at least for me, it was hard. Like the first dungeon, you go in and you just get like thumped, and then you get some stuff, and then you leave, and then you sell it, and then you might upgrade, like a piece of armor, and then all of a sudden you're just like a little bit stronger. So then you go back down in, and you make it a little bit farther, and there's a real sense of like it's a grind, but it's not a grind in the traditional sense of like, oh god, I have to go do this, like it's so boring. It's a grind like you can feel yourself getting better every single time you go back into the dungeon. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great game.
Yeah, that just sounds like a really cool gameplay loop of I'm going to collect these things, but like it's not just to make myself better. It's like not directly make myself better, but then I'm also have this like storefront, and I'm managing the selling of the stuff so I can get the money to then make myself better. Like, yeah. Like that in my head, that's really cool.
It is, and it's different. I don't think I've seen any game represent all of those sort of aspects. Do you know what I mean? So. Yeah, no, I'm interested. I'm looking for it. I'm actually probably going to play it a little bit more after this. So
great. Oh man, what platform is this on right now?
This is PS4 as well.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have some homework to do because I had no idea.
But I mean, it absolutely could be a Switch game, or even, I mean, well, maybe not. Yeah, it definitely could be a Switch game. I was thinking like maybe 3DS or something, but it might be too much for the 3DS.
Yeah. This looks like it would run on the Switch. The Switch is getting Dragon Ball FighterZ later this year, and that game looks bonkers.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll wait for that version
Yeah, definitely.
because this seems like a game that would work really well portably. Oh,
Absolutely.
then again, like I think people have driven the like this game is perfect for the Switch meme into the ground. But in any case, have you been playing anything else before we wrap this up?
Yeah, so Zelda. So
Oh,
spoilers. I bought a Switch.
whoa!
Yeah, yeah. I told myself for a long time, I was like, I don't need a Switch. What do I need a Switch for? I don't need one. Blah blah blah. I got my PS4. I don't have any time. And then it was kind of an impulse buy. I I think I don't know what it was. Somebody was talking about Zelda, and I was like, man, I really like Zelda. I loved Link to the Past. I played Link Between Worlds on the 3DS, and it was like, I gotta try this game. Everybody's talking about it. It's got excellent reviews. So I said, screw it. I'm gonna buy one. So I went in, bought a Switch, and I have been literally playing nothing but Zelda for the last, 2 days or so. I'm brand new, so I've only had it for a few days, so
Okay.
not that long, but really cool. And honestly, the novelty of the Switch part of it, where you can kind of take it off the dock and play it portable, and then put it back in the dock. The first thing I thought of when I got it was like, I'm never going to do that. Like it'll probably just be in the the dock all the time. So I hooked it up in the living room in our place, and all of a sudden it's like Liza's going to watch TV or something. So I said, well, I'll just take it out of the dock and I'll play it handheld, and it works. It's
Yeah, it's
great,
like
and it's such a good idea. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm just gonna, go to bed early and then just take the Switch with you and play some Zelda while you're there or whatever. So, yeah, I'm loving it. Really liking it.
yeah, I think that whole moment of like, oh, like I know a lot of people that were like, oh, I'm just gonna play it handheld or I'm just gonna play it docked to the TV.
Yeah,
Like they go into it like that, and then the moment that use case happens of like I need to switch from one thing to the next, and it works just as well either way, and it's just like,
yeah,
oh man, this changes everything.
I know. It's great. It's honestly, it's like the screen on the handheld is really nice. I find myself sometimes struggling at certain points in the game because I know, like a boss fight is coming up or somebody's coming up, and it's like, well, I've got it handheld, but like if I'm going to fight the boss, maybe I want to do that on like the big screen. So maybe I should put it back in the dock and play that there. But it's neat, definitely cool to have the option.
Yeah, and I mean in that scenario where like, oh, I need to put on the TV, you just go thunk, and then that's
Literally, yeah,
it.
that's it. And I don't know about your experience, but so my TV is fairly new. I don't even know if it has to be, but as soon as I click it in, it automatically switches the input for me.
Oh, okay,
So if I'm watching just normal TV, I click the switch in, and it switches the input and goes right to the TV.
awesome.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
So, tell me a little more about Breath of the Wild.
So you have played it and beat it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I am only, I would say, not that far in, probably several hours in.
Okay.
I'm at the first dungeon, so I don't want to know. I don't want to give too much away if people haven't played it or whatever.
It's been like a year now, I think.
Okay. So I'm at the first dungeon, which is, I think there's 4 of those dungeons, and then there's whatever else.
Mhm.
But so far, it took me a little bit to get into it because when you start out, you're kind of very underpowered and there's not a lot going on. And honestly, like for the first little bit, I was kind of like, "Whoa, I don't get it. Like, what do people love so much about this game?" And then all of a sudden, the world kind of opens up, and you literally have nobody telling you where to go or what to do, and you just kind of explore and do your own thing. And like, there's very little linearity to it. Like you just kind of do whatever you want. You can take the dungeons at whatever, whichever ones you want to do first. Actually, very much kind of like Link to the Past, where you kind of did whatever you wanted at any given time. So,
do you mean a Link Between Worlds?
well, you could do the dungeons in Link to the Past in any order.
Really?
You?
I don't think
you could.
so. I think
Maybe
that one
of
was super
two
linear.
worlds. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
That
Anyway,
carry
it's
on.
been a while. maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, that's something that I liked about it. But the one thing that drives me crazy, and I don't know if it gets better, you
Mhm.
can maybe tell me, is the degradation of weapons and shields. It is absolutely infuriating sometimes. I don't get it. Like I don't it almost, and I mean, like I said, maybe it gets better, but there's something about having, a sword that you find is great. You're like, oh, this is a great sword. Then you walk up to like one enemy and you barely beat it, and then your sword breaks, and then you have no weapon, and you have to go find another weapon, or you have to use the torch that's in your bag as a weapon until you can find like a tree branch lying around or something. So yeah, just that part. I don't know. It doesn't do it for me.
It is an interesting design choice. It is divisive to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Based on my experience, it does get better with time. You will find much better stuff that lasts a lot
Okay.
longer. I don't want to spoil too much. There is
I'm assuming there's like either something called or the equivalent of like a master sword or something later on. So because there is in pretty much every game. So I'm assuming.
maybe I don't know. I don't Google whether or not that's in there. Um, but the weapons generally do get better. They do last longer. You will get some good stuff. The big thing is there's a random guy who sells you storage space,
Yeah.
and I never found him.
Oh, really?
I did not see that guy through the entirety of the game, and I did
Wow.
not know you could expand your inventory. So I just
But it's the little seed guys. You got those little seed guys, right?
I don't recall that part.
You just kind of find them. They're like under rocks, or you complete these little
Oh, the
puzzles.
Korok seeds.
Yeah, that's what they're used for.
Psh, I must have missed that part of the game. See the
Hey,
open-ended nature of it.
He's a maraca guy.
Yeah, see,
That's what he does. He collects them for his maracas, and every time you get them, he gives you a space upgrade.
Yeah.
In something, your shields or your whatever.
I never ran into that guy.
That's hilarious.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
I have like storage issues already. I don't know how you beat the entire game. And also, like, you start at the beginning, you don't know any better, so you just pick up everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden you've got like an entire inventory full of tree branches, and you're like, I don't even know, like, why do I have all these tree branches? But one thing I will say though is the combat's phenomenal. Like, it's such a good system with the dodges and the slow, like the bullet time events and stuff like that. It's great. I like it.
And it does get better with time. In particular, like the game scene, the game is brutal at the beginning. You have no health. You're going into this world.
Yeah.
You're randomly going places, and everything is way stronger than you, and you're just dying left and right. On one hand, like, yeah, that's really tough, but it feels so good once you get past that.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
once you get the nuances of the attack system, and you get new weapons, and I think there are some really killer weapons in the game. But
That's
then there's
awesome.
also ridiculous bad guys in the world as well.
Yeah.
There is one particular enemy type that I have never beaten in the game. Just cannot. I think they are harder than every boss in the game.
Really?
Yep. And they're just enemies that are out in the world. I will not spoil which ones. Maybe you've already run into one at this point. I'm going to guess you have. Like, where are you at again?
The first dungeon, so the Zora world.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's a part Okay, I'll spoil it.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was a quest leading up to that where you had to like stealth around a guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, those things I've never
Collect
beat one.
the arrows.
Yeah, the thing that you're trying to avoid, I never beat in the.
Yeah, he just one hit me like 5 times.
Yep. By the time I beat the game and I had almost full hearts,
Yeah.
it would then kill me in 3 hits.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So when I went up, I didn't fight him. Obviously, I was trying to stealth around him, but I didn't realize like how overpowered he was. So I kind of like Googled it, and I was
Mhm.
like, what do you do here? And they're like, oh, well, you might want to wait a little bit to take this guy on. And now you're telling me that you beat the game and you still couldn't beat him afterwards.
Still can't.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, he just, and he sees you from so far away.
Yep. And it's
It was
fun.
so, yeah, you think you're hidden, but you're not.
Yeah. I also love that if you're far enough distance and they see you, they just kind of ignore you until
Yeah.
you like actively engage them, and then they're like, "All right, let's do this," and then
Yeah.
whack, you're dead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I want to keep playing this game all the time, but it's like I got other things to do. But oh man, I like it so much. It's great.
Great. I'm
Yeah.
really excited for you. I would love to mind wipe myself and just start that game all over again because I just
Yeah.
love the like. Well, I'm gonna climb up to this mountain and I'm gonna find a whole bunch of stuff, and then oh, there's a thing down there, and then just glide all the way around, and then
Oh, the glider. Isn't that so good?
it's like the best part of.
I love the glider. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about it is the memories. Watching the memory cutscenes.
Yes.
That's really cool too. I think I've got 2 of them now. But they're not in any particular order because you just kind of get them wherever you get them.
Yep.
But I think it'll be neat to go back and sort of watch them one to like right from one to the end.
Yeah.
And maybe get a bit of a story out of it. So, yeah.
For sure. What was I gonna say? There's how much of these shrines have you done?
I think I've only done. Well, I did the 3 to start,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think I've done 4 or 5 more.
Okay. What I love about those, and I mostly played them on the straight and narrow, but people have found really weird ways to beat them. I think the other marvelous thing about Breath of the Wild is they've created this really elaborate physics system where everything works as you would expect it to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, all these things get set on fire. I have this raft and I strap 2 balloons to it, and now it's just a flying raft, and
Yeah.
I use my leaf, and then I can pedal myself around the world.
Yep.
And
One of the things was the raft. There was a raft sitting on a bank, and there was like a rock or something, and so I used that magnetic ability, or not a rock, a piece of iron or whatever. I used the magnetic ability to lift the thing off the ground and push it into the sail, and it just moves the boat.
Yeah.
It's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was.
And I also like that everything can light on fire as well.
Yeah.
Like the weapons, like, there's one I think very early on where you have to carry a flame, and it's like, oh, I don't have a torch, and it's like, so I googled it. They're like, well, you don't need a torch, you just need something that burns, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
There's one puzzle early on in one of those earlier shrines that requires you to create a circuit, and like they give you boxes to connect everything, but like one of the things you can do is if you have a sword, you can actually just put it down to make the connection, and like the electricity travels through the metal, so of course
That's
it goes
so
through.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's a lot of development, a lot of planning.
For sure.
Yeah, because it's one thing to make cool puzzles, but it's another thing to make cool puzzles that you can actually finish multiple ways or use your own smarts to figure it out, right? So, yeah, no, I'm really, really excited. I barely, I think, cracked the surface. So, yeah, exciting time for me.
Yeah, look forward to talking to you more about your adventures of Breath of the Wild and
Definitely.
all the crazy things you will find.
See, I'm watching the video now, and I'm just like, man, just use the glider. I just want to see the glider.
Yeah, I don't think I did not take nearly enough game capture footage of this game. I did like a stream the first day where I don't even think I got off. I didn't even get to the tower, and so I have no video of like the actual good parts of this game.
Yeah. my problem is always that's the last thing, the last thing that I wanted to say about it was forgetting to save is a real pain. And I don't know if you had the same problem as I do, but I think the issue is just that everything is so good looking and fun, and you're constantly like on the way to somewhere, that I always forget to save, and then all of a sudden something will jump out and like kill me, and then all of a sudden I'm way back at the shrine that I started at. So I'm getting better at it, but yeah, there is like, I guess, kind of a quick save system, but it's not as intuitive as at least as I would think it would be. Maybe it gets better, I don't know, but yeah, I just got to remember to save. Yeah. It's dogging me apparently.
Yeah. Let's go back to Switch, like the console stuff. Do you have a Pro Controller yet?
No.
Okay. How are you finding the Joy-Con grip?
Weird. I'm not a fan. So because I played PS4, I played Xbox for a long time, but I'm not a fan of the offset joysticks.
Okay.
And I also feel like the right hand joystick is too low, if that makes any sense.
Oh, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Especially for a game where you're constantly switching between the buttons and the joysticks.
Sorry, I was just reaching for my grip here.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I
It makes sense. Sorry, go ahead.
like in Breath of the Wild, I when playing it portably, I felt it was fine, but I cannot play Splatoon 2 on this. Like
Oh no.
trying to like aim and shoot with the thumbstick so low, relative like if it was, let's say here it is. If this stick was here, it would be fine, but because it's directly under the buttons, it makes it
That's right.
kind of awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I find aiming the bow in Breath of the Wild to be difficult with the joystick there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I got to get one of those Pro Controllers.
I tried this out on the first day, and I feel like it is a little bit better than you would think, but it is also not the way you would want to play the Switch.
It's true. And honestly, the more I play this game with that controller, the more I'm thinking of getting a Pro Controller.
I mean, like, I know that you don't like the mismatched sticks.
Yeah.
I can't really get around that if you're going to get a Pro Controller, but I think this is a fantastic controller otherwise. I personally prefer them in this format.
And the D-pad.
The D-pad is great. I love.
Well, it's also there, which helps.
Yep. Yes, it has a D-pad. I think the analog sticks feel good. The buttons feel great. The triggers feel great. The one thing that, like, in particular, that this thing does better than the PS4 controller, battery life.
Oh, really?
The PS4 controller, I don't know about you, I find it dies like every second or third time I sit down to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing will go like months before you charge it again.
Does it rumble?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It rumbles. It's got amiibo support. It's got gyro in it as well.
So it's got everything.
It's got everything, and it's better all around. I personally prefer to play Switch games like it. The trade-off is it's also pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's like $79 or something, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, but you know, if you're going to be playing it for a long time, you got to be comfortable, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, especially if you can't play Splatoon with it, then what's the point? Or with the regular Joy-Cons.
Yeah. Do you have any other games on your Switch so far?
So I played no. So I don't have any full games on there. Well, actually that's a lie. I have Fortnite.
Okay.
I downloaded that because I just wanted to give it a try and see what it was all about. Fortnite, I don't know, man. I think it's just because I'm not that good at it, and I just go on and get destroyed every time. So, but it's fun. It's fun if you play with people you know. I think if I just go on and play with randoms, it's not as fun. But and also Octopath Traveler. I got the demo for that game.
Okay.
That's cool. I'm really digging that one, and I think that comes out on Friday. So, as of this podcast, so yeah, I think that might be the next one on my list.
All right.
Because I was a huge fan of Bravely Default, and that's the same company.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm not a JRPG guy, but I tried the first Octopath Traveler demo, which only had 2 characters in it, and I really liked it. So
yeah.
Like it's still not particularly high on my list of things to play, but I would not be surprised. Like I've seen early reviews seem to have been really high on this game, and I think for that particular crowd looking for that style of RPG, like looks like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest problems, and I didn't have very many problems at all with Bravely Default, but was just sort of the scope of the game was good, but the game itself felt a little constrained.
Okay.
Like there wasn't a whole lot of like each level was very linear. It was like it's 3D, but kind of like 2D at the same time. You kind of ran from point A to point B, and then back, and then things happened along those lines, like people you talked to or interacted with or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, it's a little bit more open, but the levels are like kind of almost 3D, so there's perspective to it. So if you're in a cave, you walk left and right, but you also walk like towards the screen and away from the screen, and there's hidden places you can get into and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Well, congratulations on your purchase of the Switch. I mean, like we've talked about it in passing, and I don't think I was being overly pushy on it. It was just like, yeah, if you're not gonna get it, that's fine. But I hope you enjoy the system as much as like many other people have
Well, it's funny that one of the things about my PS4 is just that it's here in the basement, right? And if we're upstairs or doing whatever, it's nice to have that option where I can just kind of take it and play it on the couch,
Hmm.
even if somebody's watching TV, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'll get more out of it because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, having played with the system since launch now, like I have some definite issues with the platform. I think, yeah, like not having a D-pad on the left Joy-Con drives me nuts. There are certain games like Pocket Rumble I would get a lot more out of if it had a D-pad on it.
Yeah.
I think that there's other quirks with the system as well, but like the convenience of being able to play all your games anywhere you want and the performance of it is pretty much the same is like a revelation.
Yeah, well, I guess I didn't own a Wii U, but I know you owned a Wii U,
Yeah.
and I think that you took that off the dock, or not off the dock, but the Wii U video controller had to be in the same room as the console, right?
Yeah.
So now it's just like, well, I'm gonna take it on vacation or something and just take it with you, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just being able to play everything anywhere anytime like just makes it so convenient. And
Yeah.
I know it's still early in the Switch's lifestyle, but between like being able to play the system anywhere you go and I think having a lot of games to play, like there's some really killer apps on there right now, some under the radar gems, and then indies have been crushing it on the Switch
yeah,
of late as well. Like I feel like there's tons of stuff to play on the Switch right now. I think
yeah,
it
for
is
sure.
right now like the best Nintendo system since the DS Lite.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yep.
And I think they've got nowhere to go but up from here. We'll see what happens with the rest of the year. Pokemon's going to be huge. Smash Bros is going to be huge. Are you a Smash Bros guy at all?
Yeah, I've played it. Fighting games are again not
Yeah.
really my thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun if you got a bunch of people over and everybody takes controller and just goes at each other. But
Yeah. I'm not really a Smash Bros guy, but yet I still own like every version of the game for some reason.
that's because you're a fighting guy, right? So,
But oh man, Smash is I don't want to get into the whole is Smash a fighting game argument,
right.
but Smash is such a different beast in a lot of particular ways that like I'm terrible at it. But
Okay.
it is fun, and I think each time I do play it, I do enjoy it, but I never stick with it for too long nowadays. I think the one I played the most was Melee on the GameCube, where my friend's family and I played like hundreds of hours of it. But yeah, there's one other game. There's one other game that we were talking about called 20XX, which looks really interesting
yeah.
as well. That one has online co-op too. Like online co-op Mega Man sounds awesome, and we should play that sometime.
Definitely, except if we can't talk to each other, which would make that.
Yeah, we'll have to use Skype or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one of these days, I think like maybe between now and the next time we do this Boss Rush show, I would love to like try a stream where we're playing the same game together online.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that would make for a really cool thing.
Definitely. Yeah, and I'm looking for ways to use it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I know the two games we've been talking about are Fortnite and Rocket League. I will whenever everybody's available, we'll try and get that going.
Yeah, I can watch us all get destroyed on Fortnite.
Or
Are you
Rocket.
any good at Fortnite?
No, I'm terrible.
Fantastic. We're on the
man.
same page.
Fortnite like my fundamental problem with Fortnite, like, and it's not saying Fortnite's bad or anything. I don't understand the building in that game.
Yeah, that's my thing too.
I like the whole like, well, I have to press this one button to pull up the menu, and then I have to press this. I have to pull the trigger to like actually build the wall. But now, if I want to build like a different type of thing, then I have to hit left or right. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know how people.
Meanwhile,
build
somebody's
towers.
shooting at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
exactly.
understand how people just like build a tower in real time and then run up it as they're building it, and like with that particular control scheme, I could see it on a keyboard where all those individual actions are mapped to a button, but when you're
See,
like,
I don't know because I played it on PC and I have the same problem.
huh?
So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I watch, I've seen videos of people, they run and they're, they headshot a guy while they're building, a wall that they're jumping. It's like, man, how do you do that? It's impossible.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not impossible, but you know what I mean?
I totally get it.
It's just I can't do it, so I'm jealous.
All right. Oh man, we've been streaming for a while now, and it is pretty late. But this was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was fun.
Glad to speak to you again because it's been way too long, and I hope we do this again soon.
Yeah, we will. We got to get that co-op thing going. It should be fun
for sure. Yeah, after the show, I guess we'll talk with the guys afterwards to see what times people are available. Probably, maybe sometime next week. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. But otherwise, before we go, is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so my Tour de France review is up on Biff Band Pop right now. I've got my Moonlighter review coming. Should be up within the next couple days. And probably going to, just do something on Breath of the Wild, or at least my experience with it. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to be playing that for a while, so that might not be for a while.
That may take a while. Maybe you just do like a diary of like, Dear Diary, I found myself in... Oh man,
it's a little too late for a review of it, so maybe I'll just do like my experience with it or something, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out all that stuff. I saw your review was up on Biff Van Pop. Hadn't had a chance to read it yet, but
it's all good. You basically got the gist of it in our conversation. So
all right, cool. As for me, I've got a written review of Pocket Rumble up now on the website inthirdperson.com. Lots of Pocket Rumble videos on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JetInThirdPerson. I made a combo video for June. The character's name's June. She's like, imagine a mix of Sailor Moon with the kid from The Ring that comes out of the TV. And she's actually like the coolest character in the game. Oh man, I don't think I have the browser set up here. I would want to show you some of the crazy stuff she can do. Okay. There's a browser. Hold on. All right, I'm gonna show you some stuff here.
Okay.
Oh, you can hear the sound too, right?
No, but that's okay.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So she's like this demon who can like shoot her head at people, and
she turns into like a cannon or something.
Yes, and then she like with her hair creates crazy spikes. But like from a technical perspective, you can do stuff like throw this fireball and then still follow up to attack. And she can do like these crazy juggles. She can teleport, like throw a fireball, then teleport behind the person, like here, or throw, and like it's so cool. And I just wish they had a easier AI to like practice all this stuff. But like this stuff is nuts. I think here.
Wow.
Yeah, like now I leave a shadow, so I attack from the other side. Like you can attack the two sides at once. And like this is all still a 2-button game. Like here I'm shooting 2 fireballs and like it's so fun. But yeah, like when they put the AI difficulty in there, I would say definitely pick that up. But for now, just watch some videos and stuff.
I'll just watch your streams of it.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's get out of here. Once again, thank you for joining me on the show. I can't do this without you guys. So
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Always fun talking games with you guys. So until we do this again, hopefully we're not waiting over a month to do one of these.
We'll get it back.
Yeah. Whenever.
And like I said, we should do the co-op stuff too. So
yes.
Even if that's the in-between stuff, we should definitely do that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try and get something in the calendars for next week that we can all play together.
Totally.
All right, man. So, Till next time, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you later.